Earlier, the New South Wales government is refusing to allow pill testing to be introduced at festivals, despite the death of another teenager over the weekend. Premier Gladys Berejiklian thinks pill testing is like giving a green light to taking drugs.
Yeah, it sounds confusing like that, but let's get today's take on this with Shelly Horton from 9honey.com.au, James Law from news.com.au. Shelly, this is the third person to die at a rave in as many months.
Yeah.
I know what the Premier is saying, but her argument is, well, different people's body types, you can't, sort of pill test for that. But you're testing the pill so they have the knowledge of please not dying or reconsidering that maybe this may not be the right thing to do.
I'm all for harm minimisation, and I think this is what it does. It's actually harm minimisation.
You're not saying drugs are great if you're a Premier saying we're going to do pill testing.
Absolutely not. But if you look at the research overseas, Deakin University actually just put out a paper, and they looked at Portugal. They introduced drug testing in Portugal. What they also did, though, was they changed it. So rather than it being a criminal offence to take drugs, it was a case of a public health issue. And by turning it into a health issue and taking away the chance of people going to jail, they actually had a massive improvement of people choosing to not take drugs and people not dying. So we have the evidence overseas that it works. So I think we're kind of burying our head in the sand by saying, oh, it's a green light to drugs.
Well, I think the issue is that it is illegal here. So I guess giving the green light to pill testing is sanctioning something that is illegal.
I don't actually think it is. Here's why, because, people are going to take it anyway. I think Gladys Berejiklian, lecturing these young people, saying, don't do it, that message is not getting through.
It hasn't worked since Nancy Reagan tried it.
It does not work. But pill testing does work. To further what you were saying, Shelley, in the UK, they've done similar things. They found that as many as 2 in 10 people would bin their drugs after they were tested because they'd find that it wasn't what they thought was in it.
No, but to back Sonia up, she's right, though. If you go to a dance festival, we've seen people cops arresting kids all the time for minimum amounts of drugs on them, then they have to go to court and sort of get slapped on the fine. So it is illegal, so that it's not just the pill testing, that something else needs... We have to have a different conversation
the
about
horse
it.
Before the cart. I mean, do we need to decriminalise drugs first,
to have a conversation
with
about
this?
it.
Because I just don't see how you can sanction pill testing if this is...
If it remains
an
illegal.
illegal
The war on drugs
activity.
has been going for 40 years and it's not
But do you
fixed.
agree with Portugal, where if you say that people dying from drugs is a health issue rather than a criminal issue, it does change a lot of things.
Yeah, for
It'd be a big move for Australia to make that decision, but maybe it's something they should look into.
And I think they're trying to blame the music festivals. If the cops can't stop this, what are the music festivals meant to do?
The promoter doesn't have any say in this.
Exactly, they're trying to make them the bad guy. This culture exists no matter what we do, so what we have to do is try and make it safer.
Manage it.
And I feel like the legalisation of marijuana is around the country, around the corner in this country. Do you know what I mean? It's happening everywhere else. We're going to need to start having these conversations about it.
Let's get smart about it.
Yeah.
Also making news, Australia's middle-aged are the least satisfied generation. That's according to new research which found people in their 40s and 50s are in a midlife funk, juggling kids and elderly parents. James, do you think different generations face different stresses?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by this, though. I thought life began at 40, I thought that's when things start to get good. Because I imagine that it is really difficult when you're juggling the kids and, you're probably taking on a lot more responsibility at work. But at the same time, I think you've lost some of those insecurities you had of youth and you're starting to really come into your own at that age. So I was a little bit surprised by this.
But Shelley, it is... look, you do feel it. You start to feel the squeeze at around 45, around that time.
I'm 45, I'm feeling it.
And so are you worried about the prospect of becoming less satisfied as you get older? You look less satisfied to me.
Thanks so much, David. I can count on you. Less satisfied right now. No, I think I worry more now because I worry about my parents because they are starting to have some health issues, and I worry about my nephews because they're starting to become teenagers, and I'm like, what about drugs at festivals? All of that. So I think it's not dissatisfaction, but I worry
Anxiety.
more. Anxiety.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So I've got all that to look forward to.
You're not
Enjoy yourself, James. Come and join us.
Marinate in it. Shelly and James, stay with us. When we come back, retailers fight back. Workers join forces to put an end to festive season abuse from stressed out shoppers.
And the name's Bond, .007. The new study claiming the world's famous spy has a drinking problem.
Now, the Shop Assistants Union is today launching a new campaign to raise awareness about the abuse suffered by retail staff. With Christmas being the most stressful time of the year, people are taking their frustrations out on workers.
Shelly Horton and James Law are with us to discuss. Shelly, you're nodding your head here because some retail staff have received death threats and some have experienced violence at this time of year. So everyone needs to really relax.
This is actually not just being a bit rude to someone who's serving you. This is death threats, rape threats, putting people in headlocks. I mean, when we're getting to the stage in society that the soft serve machine's broken and you threaten to rape the person, I kind of go, what is going on? It's like they're yelling a tweet. Like they don't feel like they're responsible for what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I think that this is something that we really need to jump on and make sure that those people get charged.
For
like
sure.
this is
Because
not
these are real
okay.
threats.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, James, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it speaks to a larger kind of sense of entitlement that's in our society now, where people just feel like I'm the customer, I'm always right, and you can just treat people like dirt. You know, it's appalling. I think it's got something to do with social media as well, like you were saying with tweeting. I just think that people feel more entitled, that their opinion matters and they can say whatever they like without any consequences. It's really, I found this really shocking.
There definitely have to be some boundaries in place.
Yeah, I reckon. I mean, I used to work in retail and like nothing this bad, but you did get those sort of customers who would just like totally encroach on your time and just be like, I'm the most important person in the world.
You're here to serve me.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think it speaks to something wider in society. It's a real worry.
I'd like to speak to your manager.
Yeah,
Right now.
Finally, James Bond is an alcoholic, guys. You're going to have to deal with it. That's what science says. An academic study has looked at all 24 Bond movies and concluded that Britain's most famous spy has a severe alcohol use disorder. Not only that, he is engaged, I don't know if you know this, in hazardous activities while under the influence. He drives.
But this is a great use of science.
Gambling.
Isn't it
He
just?
uses guns. I don't know if you guys know this.
Please.
James, in one movie, Bond, he downed 6 gin and vodka cocktails, which is officially classed as binge drinking.
Yes, except this is fictional.
Except this is fictional. So, did we really need to put
No,
our
we
academic
didn't.
time behind this? And what is it saying about us, James, that we have?
Well, you know, there was actually another
I
study
might see him go into rehab, frankly, over Christmas, before the next film.
This is outrageous. No, there was another, on your point about how scientists are using their time, there was another study that came out today about the likelihood of which Game of Thrones character would die at the end.
Yes, good.
Yes.
That's I'd want them to do
Important.
that.
Yeah, they ran it all through these metrics to see who was going to survive. So, you know, it's good to see scientists are up to some meaningful work.
I want to see those people who submit those papers have credit points taken away from them. You know, I'm sorry, you don't get an advantage by doing a report on James Bond's drinking. I mean, he's having martinis and wrestling a Komodo dragon.
Does it make you look
That is
differently
fiction.
at him?
No.
Does it make you think, oh, James Bond is an alcoholic?
I always thought that. You know?
I think he's
we did.
blackout. I think he's
Science,
blackout drunk.
We knew.
I think he's blackout drunk. 'Cause he's always reminding people of his name. James Bond. James Bond. Have we met? Yes, every time you say your name, every time.
That's
So
right.
he's got a serious job. You know, it's stressful. I get it. You
That's
know, you
it.
probably need a couple of martinis to get you
boy.
through.
Just to take the edge
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
I'm gonna
There's
make
beautiful
them this.
women everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Boy.
Kind of makes you want to drink again. Anyway, Facebook and Twitter is where you can find us. Go on and let us know what you think about any of these topics. Shelley and James, great to have you both on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coming up on Today Extra, the twist on a